What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a little bit of an album roundup. I'm not going to do this every month because seriously this just about drove me insane. But I will do it some months. Maybe I'll play catch up from time to time throughout the year so I don't have to do that end of the year video that I did this most recent year. But what I'm going to do today is quickly review 9 albums that I missed for January of 2018. Everyone from CupcakKe to Jeff Rosenstock to Phillip Phillips to Kane Hill and many more. We'll talk about all of them, give ratings for them, and you can check the description for more as always. Please, if you enjoy the video, leave a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let's get right into it. Up first, we have an album that was for some reason heavily requested. It's Let the Record Play by the band Moon Taxi. I've been familiar with them for a while. In fact, I actually got into them because of their song The New Black a few years back, but I hadn't really thought about them in a long time. But then I started seeing a lot of comments popping up for them, and the first thing I thought, I looked at the album cover and it reminded me of The Click by AGR, and that was already a bad flashback right there. But then I actually started listening through this album, and it's the most generic thing that I've listened to thus far this year. It's just so disappointing. It's not utterly awful, but it's just bland, middle of the road, not offending anything the entire time. I have no idea how their song has 75 million plays on Spotify. It's the track called Too High. It was apparently some sort of viral single. I don't know. I think it was used in car commercials. It doesn't seem to be that popular on YouTube, but on Spotify, I was just blown away by the fact that they had 75 million plays. I guess that's how they got the record deal with RCA Records. But they put the album out. They didn't really have any other songs that were that successful on it whatsoever. And this album just plays it safe whenever it gets the chance. There's a couple of tracks towards the end that do try to spice things up a bit and bring back a bit of their older sound, and that's why I found this record to be so jarring, because I couldn't believe how much they'd fallen off. They had a unique sound, something a little bit more brisk, something a little bit more rumbling, something a little bit more in your face on the last record that I had heard from them. I hear traces of that in songs like Keep Me Coming, and especially Moving to the City, which is actually a very good song. Like the guitars on that one, I like that they get a little bit more aggressive, but for the most part, this album is just timid. It loops around these acoustic guitars. It plays with these very safe sounds, and it doesn't push any kind of buttons or boundaries in any way. It's a safe gamble. You're gonna win every time if you're just looking for something that's pop rock and you can throw on. If you're working retail or something and they need a new playlist and they say, hey, play the most generic, safe stuff you can get, this is exactly what you would go to. Moon Taxi, Let the Record Play, 2 out of 5. Now we get to dig into something that's actually good. We have the third solo effort by Jeff Rosenstock. It's called Post, and it once again follows the punctuation rule. After We Cool question mark, and then we had, of course, Worry with a period on it, and now we have Post with a dash. You know, you think postmodernism, Post Malone, whatever else Post brings to mind. I'm not sure, hammering a post in the ground. Jeff Rosenstock, formerly of a couple of other bands, finally going solo, and he's mostly been on Side 1 Dummy Records, but from what I understand here, it seems like he's on Polyvinyl. I don't know if he's still a part of Side 1 because I saw the band Pup talking about him, but that's beside the point. I'm actually very excited about this new album. I've been into his other albums casually, but hadn't been head over heels for them, and not saying that I am 100% in love with this, but I think this is one of the best engaging projects that he has had to date. I love his vocals on this thing. I like the fact that he does get political, but at the same time, he makes it so that you have to dig into it. The lyrics aren't just so straightforward that you're like, okay, I know exactly what this is about. You actually have to sit with the projects a little bit more, especially on long tracks like USA, which is very aggressive. I love the tension there and the fact that it just feels a bit angst-ridden, and that is something that definitely channels our country right now with what we're going for, just the world in general. We have right after that Your Throat, which is incredible. I love the hook. I love the smashing guitars on that thing. They're so catchy. It just is an anthem of sorts, and I love that Jeff is just getting so in the groove. He's locked in on this record, and you can totally see that. Beating My Head Against a Wall, Let Them Win, TV Stars, Melba, it's all gold. If you want a hard-hitting rock record that you can play from start to finish pretty easily, it's only about 40 minutes in length, and this is right up your alley. I'm so glad that I checked it out. For me personally, I'm going with a 4. Looks like I'm gonna have to eat my own words on this one. Tonight Alive are a band from Australia that I'd given some flack to in recent times, and I'm eating my words because, you know, I actually like this album. I wasn't interested in them. In fact, I said publicly that I had not been interested in Tonight Alive in a very long time. I'm talking like 5+ years. I reviewed their debut album and I thought it was okay. There were some good songs on there, but the song that I like most from them, it wasn't even on their debut, Wasting Away. Great track that really showed off Jenna McDougall, the lead singer's vocals. And I didn't get into their sophomore release. I definitely hated their third release, Limitless. That just saw them going full-blown pop, and it felt like the biggest identity crisis ever. And so many rock bands have been going pop, I have just lost count and lost interest at this point, so I just assumed that this would be further in the Limitless direction. But I guess since that album didn't do that well, they decided to somewhat return to their roots and come back to pop rock, pop punk, alternative, and I would definitely say that this new album is alternative at its core, and I'm okay with that. It's called Underworld, and this being their 4th album and their last with their lead guitarist. He recorded the album, but then he departed from the band. I have to say, this is kind of exciting, but it sucks at the same time because the guitarist is more important to a band than you will ever know. Judging by what we have on our hands here though, this is a very solid record that I thought had a lot of charisma. I was kind of taken back by it. Not by the fact that it's the most impressive thing ever, but because I had such low expectations going in. Temple is really good. That was a single. Book of Love has a great hook on it, and it really shows off some towering vocals, but the one that really did it for me was Crack My Heart. The key changes there, and just how different that song feels. It is a towering menace, and that song really comes in with a driving force. Easily probably my favorite song on this record. I also like tracks like In My Dreams, which definitely sees a little bit of a vibe, wanting something more but not being able to achieve it other than obviously up here in your brain. Waiting for the End is a really nice one as well. And then even My Underworld, which surprisingly featured Corey Taylor, a nice closer to this record. I also enjoyed the Lynn Gunn from Paris appearance on the track Disappear, which when they harmonize, that is ecstasy. It's all good on this record for the most part. I can't say that all the tracks are that great. Some of them do run together. The end of this record, not as solid as the start. I would give the new album Underworld from Tonight Alive a 3.5. I think that's being fair, but I'd be curious. What's everyone else thinking? The Neighbourhood have already followed up with another EP to Hard. This one is called To Imagine, and it is definitely a step back down. I thought that with the Hard EP they were trending upwards, but this one is back down. I will say that Scary Love, the single from this thing, catchy, kind of a banger, a jam right there, but other than that, it's just so weird with what they're doing with tracks like Compass and the opening moment Dust. I get confused and baffled because this band has potential, but Jesse Rutherford, he doesn't know what the hell he wants. So please get it together, then come back to it. Stop forcing out so much music. We don't have to have so much music, and I'm talking Solo and The Neighbourhood. This one gets a 2.5. Speaking of 2.5, sorry to go ahead and spoil it for you, but we have the new one from TuneYards. I Can Feel You Creep Into My Private Parts. I mean, life. This album just felt preachy to me, not just because it's talking about certain subjects like feminism or racism. Those are important subjects and they can definitely be tackled in songs, but it felt preachy to me throughout. And the track Colonizer just... what the fuck? Definitely some snappy hits here like Heart Attack, Who You Are, Look at Your Hands. Those are all good moments here. And there's a few others that pop up that are just fine. And some of these tracks are just so far out there. It's like they're in the middle of the ocean and I have no way of pulling them back in. I don't have the life jacket or the little thing that you throw out in the water and you pull somebody back in with. I don't have that ability for these songs. They're kind of lost. They're scattered. It's like when a ship breaks up and you hold on to some of the wreckage, and I've got a few songs here that I like, but the rest of it, it's just gonna go back out to sea and right back out of the memory. Another 2.5 right here on this one. All hail the powers of CupcakKe on her new album, Ephorize. Ephorize means to have complete control or dominance over something, and this is definitely something that she exerts here. I've seen her pop up on a couple of Charlie XCX mixtapes, and they were both released in 2017. One track I hated, which was Lip Gloss, and that further turned me off to CupcakKe's music, but then I heard I Got It, and I was like, okay, this is a damn banger right here. So I got on board, I decided to check this out, and I am so glad that I did. As she continues to refine her sound, it's not that she's going mainstream by any means, it's just that I think she's making herself a little bit more accessible by opening up and giving us some more personal moments on this LP. Don't get me wrong, this is CupcakKe, you get what you come for, and she is bringing it here with some heated bars, some moments, some plays on words, some really clever bars and lines all throughout this LP, some super catchy instrumentals thanks to Death Star's production, and it's something where I feel like she's getting bigger, but she isn't losing herself. She's still independent and unsigned at this point, but she has some killer music videos, she also has a lot of great production, and she's writing everything herself. And like I said, Ephorize gets a bit more introspective. I really love cuts like Exit and Self-Interview in particular, where she opens up about the struggles that she has with liking herself. Even though she exudes confidence, maybe she doesn't always feel that when she's writing. Meet and Greet gets violent and is super catchy and hooky in the instrumental department. Duck Duck Goose is just so catchy. I mean, it's super explicit. This music is not for everyone, and not for the faint of heart, I guess I should say. Definitely not for kids. Kids out there, don't listen to this. If you've already lost your innocence, then go right ahead, be my guest. I just hope that if you're 13 that your parents aren't listening along with you. But anyways, Duck Duck Goose, super catchy, like I said. All about, you know, sexual stuff, dicks, everything of the sort. That one's really cool. I loved cartoons. What a great flow there, the way that she works in everything from SpongeBob to Smurfs to many other references. Johnny Bravo, it's just incredible how many things she's able to name check but still maintains such a good flow, such a killer instrumental on it as well. Wisdom Teeth is surprisingly really clever, talking about not wasting all of your money and losing yourself as you get richer and more attention and that sort of thing. So love that one. Cinnamon Toast Crunch is fiery as hell. Post Pick is just kind of passive aggressive in the best way. Single While Taken, surprisingly awesome. And then it closes out on Fullest, which is a track that I love. It's got this tropical Latin flavor to it. Just a nice swing to the music. And even Spoiled Milk Titties. That's such a crazy name for a song, but I love the guitar in that one. It's just rock meets rap, and it's just really nice. So thank you, CupcakKe. Thank you for winning me over. This album, Ephorize, is just great. I love pretty much every song here. I'm gonna go with a 4.5. I would say one of my favorite albums of the year so far. Next up, we have the 12th studio album by They Might Be Giants, the long-running band that's actually been in business since the 80s, so this is crazy at this point. Thank you to my Patreon supporter Andrew that actually went to their show and bought me a copy of this new album, I Like Fun. I've been playing it in the car some, and I have to say this is pretty enjoyable stuff for the most part. Not every song is for me, but if you like that kind of loose, lighthearted feel that does have more serious moments on it as well, then I have to recommend this CD to you. There's a couple of tracks that did really catch my attention, and a couple of them come back to back. Push Back the Hands is a great track that seems to have kind of a fire lit under it, and then This Microphone surprisingly caught me off guard with how much I'm liking that one. Let's Get This Over With is a great opener here, and an insult to the fact checkers actually has some really cool lyrics on it. Like I said, not every song here is incredible or anything, and I don't know how much I'll revisit this album, but at the same time, I appreciate that after all this time, they're still willing to try new things, innovate and push, and not always just regurgitate the exact same song. So for me, even though I'm not in love with this, I still recommend it, but I'm gonna go with a 3 out of 5. I've been hearing a lot about this band called Kane Hill. I thought it was a guy at first, but it turns out it's just a band, and they're kind of a heavy metal and what people are labeling new metalcore, which is interesting. We all know new metal, like Linkin Park and those bands and everything like that, but this is being labeled new metalcore, so I'm interested to see what else is going to come out of this scene. I can't say that I'm sold on this whole Kane Hill thing. It just feels like the aggression of the 2000s without all of the heart and the spirit about it. It doesn't seem like copying, it just seems like I don't know, trying to further that sound, but not adding enough new to it. However, I think there's some good tracks here. The opening moment, Too Far Gone, definitely really gets it with the screams. I do like It Follows, although I will say the band Waterparks already had that song title, which was already named after the movie, so I think this is the third best out of the three. 10 Cent had a nice flair about it. There's a few others that I just feel like get bogged down in mediocrity, but this project, I guess, if you're into that sort of thing, check it out. Not really for me. I'm gonna go with a 3 on this one, and I could do 2.5, but I think honestly there is passion in this music. There is something there. I just feel like maybe they need to strike a new chord, another step maybe on their third LP. Finally, we get to the last album that I'll be covering today, and it's one that I'm honestly reviewing just because I feel bad for him at this point. He's not getting any coverage, he's not getting any exposure whatsoever. In fact, this dude won American Idol like not that long ago. It was less than 10 years ago. I think like 2011, 2012. And now at this point, his album charted in the bottom part of the Billboard 200 at 141 after having 2 top 10 albums. It took him 4 years to follow up the last album, and that might be in part to the label, I don't know, maybe not being on board with the fact that he kind of does stay true to himself, but this new album, Collateral, it just feels like another good step for him, and it's surprising that he's not really getting the promotion. Honestly, I haven't been that into Phillip Phillips, but I never hated him by any means. I think he is talented, he's got a nice voice, and I liked some of his singles like Gone, Gone, Gone. And here, this might be his strongest material to date. I'm not saying that every song is fire or anything like that, but I like songs like My Name, which definitely has a lot of anger and enthusiasm to it, some loud guitars there. I like the track Dance With Me as well, the nice slow vibe, and even Her Mystery, What Will Become of Us, especially that one. It slows things down, changes up the pace, and is almost like a little curveball in there, but it doesn't ruin the pacing of the album whatsoever. There's some very predictable songs like Love Junkie that I absolutely just hate. I always talk about how I cannot stand the comparisons to just love and drugs, and this one is just the dime a dozen song. It's just like the worst of the worst when it comes to that, so no thank you. Phillip Phillips has totally fallen off of most people's radars. He's been forgotten about. He's an American Idol winner, like I said. Go check out his new album. It's better than mediocre. I would say it's solid. I'm not gonna call it amazing or anything like that, but I think it's worthy of a light 3.5, I would say. Light 3.5. There's some good songs here. You'll definitely pick off the ones that you like. 12 songs, 40 minutes, you really can't go wrong. Whew. Guys, I can't do this every month. This is just a racking of the brain to try to get information on all these records, 9 albums plus all the ones I covered during the month. I've got to cut back for my own mental sanity. I know it sounds like I'm joking, but I'm honestly not. This was a very hard video for me to make, so I'm not going to continue doing this in the future, not at least monthly. So if you did enjoy this video, please drop a like on it. Just know that I'm not going to be able to cover everything. I'm going to have to dial it back just because I want to be able to actually enjoy my life and the music that I'm listening to. Thank you for tuning in, though. If you're able to support me on Patreon, it would be greatly appreciated. It helps videos like this keep coming on both of my channels. It's the top link down below, or else this convenient annotation in the corner of your screen there. If you would like to see another album roundup right here, or another recent video right here, I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.